Good morning, everyone. Coming to you from a sunny Manchester and a sunny Delhi, I'm presuming.
Yeah,
It looks
but
very.
it is always sunny here.
Yeah, true. Good point. Well, we have got a transfer show, but first of all, to everyone, hope you're all doing well. Lots to talk about, Shreyas. We've got an update on. I'll let you play the sound.
Oh yeah.
Whenever you're ready. So one of the players we have an update on is. Ready for this?
What's my name? Onana. What's my name?
Yeah.
Onana, apparently. Andre Onana to Manchester United is on, according to Fabrizio Romano, who's commented on this, a couple of other kind of credible journalists. We've got update on Harry Kane's situation. Chris Wheeler's provided a decent update, to be fair, on that, and Rasmus Højlund. And the ownership situation as well. Is Sir Jim getting cold feet? Some reports coming out from Nice, which are pretty interesting. Yeah. And basically, Dean Henderson's crying again. So get your comments in, questions, smash like on the video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let's just kick it off with the ownership then, Shreyas. I was going to leave that till towards the end, but we'll just start with it now because it's an update, but it's not a mega update, if that makes sense. So last night, a news outlet called Nice Matin, and for whatever reason, I didn't grasp the Nice bit in that name, so I just kind of looked at the name and I thought, that's bullshit. I've never heard of him, no idea who it is, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Turns out they're actually a massive outlet in Nice, so it has quite a lot of credibility because obviously Sir Jim Ratcliffe owns Nice. You can see the links there. So what they're reporting is just Ineos and Sir Jim Ratcliffe have suffered a loss in confidence about buying Manchester United. A sale of Manchester United still focuses Ineos' attention, despite a certain loss of confidence in the file. What does that even mean? No idea. But it is a big outlet in Nice. It's coming from Ratcliffe's side.
Yeah.
My question is, you probably don't know. Well, you don't know yourself. None of us know. But what do you think's stalling this deal?
I think
honestly,
money, more money. From the Glazers side is the only. I think they're trying both of the parties to they're giving both of the parties basically opportunities to actually up their deal a little bit. Like they genuinely gave Qatar a 2-week time for them to put another bid altogether. Because before that completely looked like Qatar is only trying to put some bids in to save face, but it ultimately turned out that they put a bid in because they were given the time to actually put a new bid in. And I think it's the same situation with Sir Jim Ratcliffe. But the problem with Sir Jim Ratcliffe is I don't think that he has those kind of resources to put another bid in. Like with Qatar, the thing is they do have the resources. Like if they want, they can genuinely put in another bid now because they have that sort of buying power. And when it comes to a bidding war, it genuinely just comes down to who has more money. And right now, if you have to compare Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Qatar, it genuinely has more money than Sir Jim Ratcliffe. And I think for Sir Jim Ratcliffe, the last, I would say, trick was to actually, get on board with the Glazers and run it as a partnership for some time. But I think the fact is the Glazers just don't want to run Manchester United anymore. You can take this context out of this whole deal because if they wanted to, they could have actually, figured out that minority ownership or minority stake as a club or new investment. They would have explored those options altogether. But they just want to cash out of the club right now, and Qatar is the only one who can provide them with that sort of service, and Sir Jim Ratcliffe cannot.
I want to talk about another potential bid in a second. There's loads of ultras in the chat, which is always nice to see. They're the loyal to the soil they are. So Gray saying morning, guys. Brian saying morning. A little bit of a conversation going on there. Let's get through a couple of them. Aaron saying Chelsea sold half their team this morning and we can't get a deal done. There's something dodgy going on with that, isn't it? There's something dodgy going on with
this morning Chelsea just basically did all they could to avoid getting an FFP ban or something because they just offloaded.
Well, do you know what? I look at that. Sorry to interrupt. I look at that situation, and all the stuff that was going on with Todd Bowley, where he spent all this money, and everyone's like, "What the fuck is he going to do?" Yeah. He's giving out these contracts like long term for such sustainable. And then these deals are happening now with Saudi, but I don't have somebody has taken like Capital One, I think, or something. Which invest in Chelsea, something along the lines of that. They have investment partners. So something dodgy's going on there, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you can have Koulibaly. Ziyech has gone there.
Mendy might be on the way there as well.
Mendy's pretty much done. Kante's gone there. as well. So there is definitely something dodgy going on there, 100%.
Yeah, I think definitely, and because he has that sort of partnership, or maybe that sort of relationship with Saudis, it gives Chelsea that sort of leverage to make those sort of high stake money signings, these sort of contracts, and still be able to get off FFP and avoid any sort of transfer bans, because the players that they're offloading, it helps them a lot when it comes to FFP.
Yeah.
If you look at Ziyech, if you look at Mendy, if you look at players like N'Golo Conte who've been at the club for so many years, so it does help them a lot. Probably, you could be seeing more high money and these high dollar signings from Chelsea once again in this summer window as well, because it will happen. You might be seeing those 60 million and 70 million signings once again from Chelsea's end. But I still think maybe FFP can come into play in certain aspects of it. But if Todd Bowley is able to offload like 2 to 3 more players, even if it is to Saudi League, I think they're good for the next window.
And Kunku for 56 million as well, which I saw yesterday. I was like, what? 56?
Yeah.
56?
Yeah.
I thought it was like 100 million. What's going on here?
That was his release clause.
Insane.
Yeah.
Why the fuck we didn't go in for that? I'll never know.
Kunku for 56 million is a bargain signing.
Oh my god. Yeah. But anyway, we get sidetracked here. We've gone off on a bit of a tangent. I'll bring it back to, we're talking about money, bring it back to the Sir Jim Ratcliffe bid. Do you think he'll come in with another bid?
I don't think so. I think
No, you think that's it now? Well,
no.
Surely, if you're right on that, that should mean now that the deal should get done this week, right?
I'll still give it 2 weeks for everything to be ironed out.
What for, though? Oh, to be ironed out? Well, they've had 7 months to iron it out.
Yeah, that is the only reason why I'll give it another week, because they should have been done within 3 months. The way it, if you look at it, the way Qatar has been progressing with the deal, if they wanted, they could have genuinely finished this and wrapped this all up within 3 months itself. Like, given Qatar the ownership, provided them with the funding from Qatar's end, and then, just be on their way out. But they didn't. And I don't think that Sir Jim Ratcliffe would put another bid in. I genuinely don't think so. But what I do think is that the Glazers will come out with something completely ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm just feeling. Like, that's just a gut feeling. Like, I think that they would leave. But before leaving, they would do something really ridiculous and come out with something, that completely shifts.
I don't know why. I've just got a feeling that Sir Jim Ratcliffe's going to put in another bid. I just feel like that's going to be the breaking news this week, and then it's going to be like, right, talks are going to continue for the next 2 weeks because Sir Jim is now the favourite again. And he's just like back and forth and fucking nonsense. But that is the update we have basically so far on the ownership. That's the most up-to-date thing that's kind of come out. We're now going to touch on a certain player, and his name is...
Onana, what's the name? Onana, what's the name?
Of course, it is Onana. I love that song. I'm going to just play it one more time.
Yeah, of course.
Onana, what's the name? Onana, what's the name?
Copyright guy.
I was just thinking, I don't know if I was just literally about to say that. I don't know if we get off copyright or not. But yeah, Manchester United have explored the conditions of a deal for Onana. Onana.
Third copyright strike.
Yeah. We're done now. We're getting cancelled.
Yeah.
Eric Ten Hag has always had a good relationship with Onana. Inter Milan starting price is around 60 million euros. This coming out from Fabrizio Romano. And then Manchester United intend to accelerate their pursuit of Andre Onana. Ten Hag has called his former goalkeeper, David De Gea, has never been closer to leaving Manchester United. And that's coming from Gazzetta dello Sport. I was going to say, I'm sure you're ecstatic with this news, Shreyas, but at the same time, I know, with De Gea now, you kind of like, do you know what I mean? It's kind of goal time, but at the same time, I don't know what the terminology is, but you've got one bad thing happening, but then you've got one really good thing because you're a massive fan of Onana, aren't you?
Yeah. And I remember last season when we were talking about, who would you want to actually come in and be the goalkeeper for United next season, which is now. I said Onana or Mainan. So I'm really happy that things are actually progressing with Onana. Considering they're starting with 60, probably Inter can come down to 55, or even if it maximum goes to 65, I think it will be a bargain signing for the kind of player he is. He's still very, very young. He's worked with the manager before. Ten Hag really likes him. And this season as well, in Serie A, if you look at that Inter squad, you look at their defensive line. They've got, I think, a Serbi, they've got Bastoni, who's a very very good player. But except that, their wing backs aren't that great, except for Dumfries, I would say. And he has been a very very strong rock, considering the way he plays. He likes to come out of the box, he commands his line really really well. Even this season, in Serie A, he's only conceded 24 goals. Just 24 goals he's conceded throughout the course of the season. So that's a very very big achievement for a goalkeeper. And I think, moving forward, the kind of football we want to play, and we want our goalkeeper to play out from the back, I think any goalkeeper you go out for, it will be a big gamble, because I think with goalkeepers, we've said that attackers take very very long patches of time to adapt themselves to the league. We've been saying that with Anthony and so many players that we've signed over the years. I think the same goes for goalkeepers as well. They need to adapt to the intensity of the league. They need to actually be able to integrate themselves with the back line. I think it is much more difficult for goalkeepers to actually make themselves comfortable with the Premier League, if they're coming from foreign leagues especially. So I think with Onana, it's a lesser gamble, because he's worked with the manager before. He had a fantastic season with Inter Milan. And for 65 million, if you're getting such an experienced keeper, who, if he comes in, he actually, checks off a lot of boxes for Ten Hag, I think he is a lesser gamble in comparison to other signings that you could go for.
It's very interesting, isn't it? I think I'm going to touch on the price in a second, but for people who haven't watched him, what will he bring?
Okay, the thing is, for a lot of fans who don't know what he can actually bring to the table, you might have seen David De Gea sticking to his box, sticking to his line, never coming out of the box. So it could be a it could be a heart attack for certain fans, seeing their goalkeeper completely rush out in order to grab hold of the ball and just spring it out. He's got very good passing range. He's genuinely got really really good passing range. He's very calm and composed, even when he's under pressure. And he's done it against the biggest teams of them all. He's done it against Man City. He's done it against Barcelona, against Bayern Munich. He's done it against the biggest teams. And his distribution, arguably, I would say he's in the top 5 when it comes to distribution in all of Europe. And he's been one of the better keepers in Serie A this season. And Serie A has got some really good keepers right now. So to be able to, come into those ranks, he's a very, very decent buy. And, except that as well, he's worked with players like Lisandro Martinez before. He's worked with these sort of backlines, if you compare Inter and United's backline, definitely, the way they play is very, very different. But if you see the kind of profiles he's worked with, it's a little similar. Calm and composed. You've got Rafa Varane. When you've got with someone who's, very aggressive, someone who likes to put in those tackles like Lisandro Martinez, he's got similar profiles to work with at Inter as well. So it will be a little easier for him to adapt. And, if he's only conceded 24 goals throughout the course of a 38-game season. So, he's genuinely a very, very good buy. And for 60 or 55 million, if you're getting that sort of a keeper, you should go with that buy. And considering, we tend to overpay with any of the signings we make. If you're, overpaying by 5 million for Onana as well, I think it will be worth it.
Yeah, the price I'm a big fan of, to be fair. I feel like 6 million euros is decent. And then that also makes me feel like, well, in a week's time or 5 days' time, we'll see a report coming out saying, actually, Inter Milan wants 70 million euros or 80 million euros. Because it happens with every player. It just happened with Rasmus Højlund. We talked about 40 mil. Everyone's like, sign him up.
Yeah.
Done deal.
100 million.
Sign the dotted line. And then they're like, we want 100 million euros. And it's like, well, like every fucking club does this. As soon as we go in. I want to read out a couple of comments because it's quite a few, especially on Onana. What's his name? Shah Sam, I saw a compilation of Onana on Twitter and it's ridiculous. Brian Casey saying, I saw that too. Plays like he's on FIFA. Shah Sam, never seen Edison and Allison do those kind of things. Brian Casey saying, easy to make a keeper look good, bad with highlights though. And Gray 100 says, it'd be interesting to see his low lights. And he says, Gray says as well, I'd like another centre back to sturdy things up, to be honest. The issue is with the centre back, it's not going to happen unless Maguire leaves.
Exactly.
If Maguire stays, They're not going to bring another one. And the likelihood at the moment is that Maguire's going to stay,
And the
unfortunately.
best signing we could go for at centre-back has gone.
Yeah. Well, he's a toenail away from going in. He's pretty much like it's nearly done. We're just waiting for Romano to say, "Here we go, Kim Min Jae to Bayern Munich is done," and then Timber's going to Arsenal as well.
If we wanted, we could have got him. And for me, he was one of the essential buys of the season. Like Kim Min Jae.
That's annoying me that the Kim Min Jae thing. It's proper annoyed me. Just the last thing on Onana, there was a couple of things, wasn't there, where did he like fail a drugs test?
Yeah,
I think there was certain things with attitude. You worried about any of that?
I think I don't have attitude issues because with Ten Hag you don't see that in that squad, and he's worked with that manager before. So, and if Ten Hag wants to go in for that player again, he must have something in his mind or something in his plan in order to go in for him, because it's been there are very, very strong links to Onana, especially from Ten Hag's side, that he's communicated with Andre Onana as well, and he also wants to make the move happen. So that's a positive sign. And except that, with the drugs test, when it did come out, one of the interesting things was that the manager as well as the players actually protested against it, because they said that this player hasn't really done anything wrong.
Yeah. Do you know what it was actually for? What he got? I'm gonna have to look into.
I think it was a 9-month or 10-month ban for a season. I think what he got.
Interesting. I'll look into that. I'll look into that one. We've got 15 people in the chat. Make sure you smash like on the video, get your questions in, get your thoughts. We're going to dive into the Harry Kane topic now. So Chris Wheeler's come out again last night reporting that Harry Kane wants to join United, but United will only join the race if Daniel Levy lowers the price to 80 million rather than 100. United have moved on to Rasmus Højlund, but that they could be tempted by this 80 million fee if Levy drops it down.
Yeah.
Apparently he's not budging, even though Kane can leave for nothing next year. We need Harry Kane to push on this side a little bit. You don't think?
The thing is, people are saying that, Harry Kane is trying to push a move. Harry Kane really wants to come to Manchester United. But they seem to forget that, he's done this thing before. If you remember the season we signed Ronaldo, Harry Kane was very close to a move to Manchester City, and he was trying to force a move. He didn't turn up to training. Yeah. He did everything that he could from his locker, and Manchester City weren't able to get him. He had to stay at Tottenham. So, I just think that if someone like a Manchester City, who are very, very good when it comes to signings and getting deals off, they weren't able to sign him because of Daniel Levy. That doesn't give me confidence that we can do the thing.
It's a weird one. I think what we're going to do, I think we're going to sign Rasmus Højlund. Yeah. I think we're going to bring Mount through the door, maybe Onana. And then I think eventually when this mess of the ownership thing gets sorted out, I think towards the back end of August, we're going to throw an offer at Tottenham. After that, if it is Qatar that come in, say, for example, I think they're going to want a big announcement, like a big signing to come in through the door and be like, look, this is what we're doing. And I think the Mount deal will already be done by then. I think a couple more will be done. Yeah. And I've just got this feeling towards the end of August. Like it's something we could revisit with new owners, because that's what they're saying. Not saying it's not going to be a mega difference, because FFP will have implications on this. But there'll be about 100 million, an extra 100 million difference if we do. Yeah. And if that is the case, I think they go in and go, all right, Harry Kane, 90 million. We'll throw it at you now. End of August.
They could, but the only drawback about that would be that we won't have a striker till August. A genuine striker.
No, well, I'd be all right with Rasmus Højlund, to be honest, until then.
But
and using Rashford as a
man. I know. But if we spend 80 or 90 million on Højlund,
I don't think it'll be 80, 90. We won't spend that on him. I'll tell you what it'll be now. It'll be 50 plus performance-based add-ons. That's what it'll be.
I really hope that happens, because if Atlanta won't, because I was hearing that Ten Hag is trying to get Ahmad to go on loan to Atlanta in order to smooth in a deal for Højlund, but Atlanta want as much cash as they can for Højlund.
Yeah, of course they will. But I just think they'll compromise, meet in the middle, and there'll be 50 plus add-ons, and I'll be happy with that. You start the season with Rasmus and Rashford, and then Harry Kane is literally one of the greatest scorers in the Premier League. So in terms of the transition, it's not going to be, it's not as if it's going to take a while.
Definitely. If he comes, I think he's perfectly suited to actually play in that number 9 position for us. Like there isn't a better player who could do a job for us in that position. But I just think because of Daniel Levy, it will be a very, very hard, very hard deal to actually, scrape by. If it isn't Kane, who would it be according to you? The starting striker, who we would go for?
If we can't get Kane, who would I go for?
Yeah.
If money wasn't an issue, or realistically?
Realistically, if Qatar is coming, so you have that 100 million.
Okay. And not Harry Kane.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a tough one. Because Osman's overpriced. He's like 130s in this year. Getting Osman. Do you know what? I don't mind the look of Gonçalo Ramos, to be honest. I think he's a good player. I think he's done it. He's a little bit more advanced than Rasmus Højlund is. I know they're not far off in terms of age. I think Ramos has got a couple of years on him. But Ramos has done it in the Champions League. He's done it at the World Cup. And he's a bit more experienced. And he's a better presser, which isn't everything, but Ten Hag loves, a pressing forward. I think it'd be decent. I think out of everyone that's available right now, for that price, you got your Højlund, Ramos, Osman. Anyone else? Vlahovic, maybe you can throw in there. Is there anyone else that I'm missing?
Kylian Mbappe.
Go on. I know, but he's going to cost them. He'll be the first £1 billion player. And also, PSG, Qatar run PSG, don't they? So if Qatar come in, if he kicks up a fuss there and saying he wants to leave, I don't see Qatar rebuying him and being like, oh yeah, cool, we're here then, mate. Do you know what I mean? So I would have Mbappe. I've gone on record and said this many a times, but it's like Vincent says there, what about Mbappe then? It's just, I know Sam says he doesn't want him because of the attitude and blah, blah, blah. Listen, this guy is, you said it before, what he done in the World Cup final was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And if you want someone to compete with Erling Haaland in the Premier League in terms of